authorities releasing the charges for the man accused of setting 8 people on fire in that targeted terror attack in Boulder, Colorado. Officials say he's now being charged with a hate crime that's federally. And this is what they found. They found at least 14 unlit Molotov cocktails on his person, along with that makeshift flamethrower. The Molotovs comprised of glass wine carafe bottles or ball jars containing clear liquid and red rags hanging out of the bottles. He made these himself. In fact, it says that he researched on YouTube how to do this. And later, during an interview with the officials, the suspect stated outright, and he's talking, he stated he wanted to, quote, kill all Zionist people and wished they were all dead. He also stated that he would do it again. Emily, he also said during this interview he specifically targeted the Zionist group that had gathered in Boulder. He knew they planned to meet that day, Sunday at 1 p.m. He arrived at 12:55 and waited for them.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure that you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today, we are headed over to Boulder, Colorado. Many of you are familiar with this story already. Over the weekend, there was a terrorist attack by an illegal immigrant Egyptian by the name of Mohamed Soliman. What I want to do today with this story is that I don't really want to spend too much time going over what happened on the day of the terrorist attack, as much as I really want to focus on the fact that this guy came in on I believe it was a B2 visa. We're going to quickly go over what a B2 visa is, and then I want to discuss how we need to be more strict in handing out these visas, and really get back into why I didn't have much of an issue at all with Marco Rubio's stance on removing and withdrawing people's student visas that are engaging in behavior that essentially are anti-American in nature, right? But first, let's get into this article here very quickly. Look at this here. Colorado terror suspect Mohamed Soliman seen burned, bandaged after firebomb attack at Israel hostage demonstration. Let's jump into this once again very quickly. I want to get into this article here. A mugshot released Monday on the suspect in the Colorado firebomb attack shows him with a large bandage over his right ear and apparent burns on his face. The image captures the battered face of Egyptian national Mohamed Sabry Soliman, 45 years old, who cops say turned a homemade flamethrower on a group of Israeli hostage supporters and lobbed Molotov cocktails. The article continues to read, Soliman was in the U.S. illegally after overstaying his visa, authorities said. He originally entered the country legally through Los Angeles International Airport on a B2 visa on August 27th of 2022, sources told the Post and Fox News. So this is one of Biden's migrants, right? That's who this is. B2 visas are given to people who are supposed to be temporarily visiting the country for such things as tourism and to visit family and friends. Solomon's visitor visa expired in February of 2023, sources told the Post. But the suspect, meanwhile, applied for asylum in September of 2022, sources said. He also applied for a work visa. So now once he was here, he said, well, let me get in while the getting is good. I'm applying for everything now. I came in on the B2 visa. As a matter of fact, since I'm here, can I get asylum as well? And also, I would like a side of work as well. Also, I need a work visa also. Give me all the visas since I'm here already, despite the fact that these visas are lapsing and I'm here illegally, but I could just keep reapplying and you're just going to keep giving them to me until I commit an act of terror like we see here. But I digress. As we round this article out, Solomon's asylum application was still pending at the time of the attack, but he was granted the work visa, although it expired this past March, leaving him in the country illegally. Listen, man, I remember a lot of you gave me a hard time getting behind Marco Rubio and his stance against student visas and all these other visas in general that under the Biden administration had been handed out willy-nilly, right? And even pre-Biden administration, right? I won't put it all on Biden because we've had an issue for quite some time now with just kind of just handing out visas to any and everyone who's asking for them, when the screening process actually needs to be a lot tighter and a lot more strict. Many of you gave me a hard time when I backed Marco Rubio saying, "Oh my God, TD, you support Israel. I can't believe this." And it's just hilarious to me because it's not about supporting any side. It's really just a matter of common sense. I find it amazing how people will tolerate things to occur in the country that they wouldn't tolerate to happen in their own home, right? We're specifically talking about the whole student visa situation. If I came knocking on your door asking for food and for assistance with my education, and in good faith you let me into your home to give me food and to assist me with my education, and then I start kicking up dust, knocking over tables, turning the people in your home against you, you throw me out of your house with the quickness. But when it's time to do that for the sake of the country, to remove bad faith actors out of the country, now you want to throw the Constitution in everybody's face and go, aha, na 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 boo boo, but you wouldn't tolerate that in your own home. I find that astonishing because it defies logic. The hypocrisy is unbelievable of some of the people that will be against this type of common sense logic. But I guess it's just to be expected at this point, right? And it's very unfortunate, very unfortunate. I want to get into this clip by Marco Rubio here. And it was him in a hearing, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, when this occurred, speaking on visas, the visa situation, not just student visas, but visas overall, right? Whether it's the B2 visa, B1 visa, so on and so forth. Just how we need to be a lot more strict on handing out these visas to those who are across the world that want to get into the country, right? So let's get into this clip next by Marco Rubio.
Our immigration policy should be based on the national interest of the United States, period, end of story. If there is a subset of people that are easier to vet, who we have a better understanding of who they are and what they're going to do when they come here, they're going to receive preference, no doubt about it. There are a lot of sad stories around the world, millions and millions of people around the world. It's heartbreaking. We cannot assume millions and millions of people around the world. No country can. So you have to have a process of deciding who do you prioritize, who do you allow in. We do it all the time. We do it in our immigration system now under our current laws. Unfortunately, it's primarily based on family connection and not on what they're going to contribute to the society from a merit standpoint. That should be changed, but that'll require statutory changes. But the bottom line is this notion that somehow we have to accept anyone who wants to come to the United States is absurd. No country in the world has an immigration policy like that.
And I agree with it 100%. It is completely absurd that the U.S. essentially turns into the dumping ground of society. Any and everybody that wants to come here, you can just come and show up because you'll have DNC lunatics fighting on your behalf to stay here, no matter how many crimes that you commit. It's completely absurd. And once again, it defies logic and common sense. Now, going back to visas and asylum seeking and things of that nature, because I want to make sure that we don't miss out the fact that this guy committed an act of terrorism while here. Let's go back to the Biden administration and his man-made Biden crisis, right? Let me pull this video down. I'm going to pull this tweet up from Tulsi Gabbard. Look at this here, and then we're going to get into the video clip. Just in, National Counterterrorism Center identified 600 individuals with ties to terrorists who came in through our border illegally, claimed asylum, and under the Biden administration were paroled here within our borders. You hear that? 600 identified terrorists were able to come into the country and claim asylum under the Biden-Harris administration. Lord only knows how things will be looking right now if Harris actually won. But let's get into this clip next from Tulsi Gabbard so that she can break this down a little bit more. So that's what I want to do next.
I'd like to highlight just 3 of the areas where we are helping to support your leadership and your work in making America safe again and bringing about these changes. First of all, because of your designation of cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, I took immediate action with our National Counterterrorism Center to prioritize their focus on those terrorists and gang members who are trying to enter our country through legal or illegal means, and to seek out those who already are here in our country because of the Biden administration's 4 years of open borders. We've been working very closely with your great Attorney General's team at the DEA to get these known cartels into our systems, to be able to stop them at the border, and turning over names to Department of Homeland Security and the FBI to be able to find those who are already here in our country. Just the other day, we found 700 alien terrorists who have ties to MS-13, Tren de Aragua, and the Sinaloa cartel. Just yesterday, our NCTC identified almost 600 individuals with ties to other terrorists who came through our borders illegally, claimed asylum, and under the Biden administration were paroled here within our borders.
That is complete insanity. Insanity. We've let in the world's criminals, everybody, enter into this country unvetted, just given a free pass. And you want to have people, and now we have people crying about TPS status being removed and all these other bogus protections being removed off of people who should have never been in the country to begin with. That's completely ludicrous. And the thing is that all these DNC lunatics are operating in bad faith. They know very much so what they're doing. They're more than well and aware of the fact that they've let in monsters into the country unvetted, just for it to manifest itself in the way that we saw it happen this weekend with the Egyptian illegal immigrant who basically came in here on a free ride, getting everything that he wanted as it pertains to visas, overstaying his welcome, and getting to the point to where he's committing acts of terrorism in this country where he should have never been to begin with. I want to play this last clip for you in closing. Take a look at this here. I want to read this off to you first before we get into the disingenuousness of these DNC lunatics. Look at this. This clip is unbelievable. You have to watch the entire thing to fully appreciate it. 2021, Mayorkas is asked if Afghans that were brought into America after the botched withdrawal were vetted. He lies for 3 minutes before finally admitting the truth. This is well worth the watch for 3 minutes, because essentially what happens here, and I do want to preface it by stating this, what happens here, because you could get lost by his manipulation and his deception. What occurs is that he is asked a very specific question about whether or not the Afghan refugees that were brought into the country were vetted. When he's asked that question, he then answers it in a very broad and general sense by talking about policy and vetting policy. But that's not the question. I didn't ask you about vetting policy. I asked you about whether or not these guys were vetted before coming into the country. He insists on speaking on policy. And once he does that, he starts the conversation becomes very broad and general, where we have now gotten away from Afghan refugees and whether or not they were vetted. But at the very last minute, he was asked a specific question about Kabul airport by Mr. Graham. He was asked, were those who were brought into the country through Kabul airport, which is the international airport in Afghanistan that the refugees came into the country through, were they vetted? And right at the last minute, he goes, well, I can't answer to that. After filibustering for 3 minutes straight. Don't believe me? Watch this here. This is unbelievable manipulation by these DNC lunatics who essentially hate this country as far as I'm concerned, because why else would you do this? Unbelievable. Let's check this out.
Was Afghanistan a successful withdrawal?
Senator, the evacuation that the Department of Defense and the Department of State led was historic in evacuating so many individuals.
Of those that are evacuated, how many of them were vetted before they got on the plane?
Senator, it is our policy to vet.
That's a simple question. How many of them were vetted before they got on the plane?
Out of Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Cannot speak to that, but it is our policy.
So you can't tell us how many people were vetted before they got on the plane to come to America.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you're speaking of the plane to come to America, let me, if I may, Senator, explain the process. Because we working.
We didn't ask you about policy or the process. I'm sorry. I had to interrupt. We'll let him carry on. This is a guy who lied under oath so many times. I don't understand how Alejandro Mayorkas is not sitting in a jail cell right now.
With our allies.
Okay, here's a question. Very simple. Those that got on the plane.
For America, it is our policy to...
Please listen to my question.
I apologize.
To those who got on the C-17s and other planes, how many of them were vetted before they got on the plane by American officials?
To the United States, it is our policy to vet and screen 100% of them.
So 100% of those people that got on the plane were vetted. That's your testimony under oath.
It is our policy to do so.
That's not, I don't care what your policy is. I'm asking how many people were vetted before they got on the plane. Do you know the answer?
Senator,
if you don't know, just say I don't know.
Senator, I do not know if anyone boarded a plane that was not fully screened and vetted.
Can you tell me that all the people that got on the plane were vetted?
Absolutely. I can tell you that all of the individuals...
Before they got on the plane?
If I may, Senator, all of the individuals who arrived in the United States have been screened and
That's
vetted.
not, listen, I'm not trying to trick you. I'm trying to ask a simple question. We've had thousands of people that got on C-17s and flew out of the most chaotic situation I've seen since the fall of Saigon. And I'm asking you, before they got on the plane, how many of them were vetted by the United States? Can you tell me what percentage?
Senator, I would posit, and I will confirm this, that well over 99% of them were fully screened and vetted before they boarded a flight.
Okay.
If, in fact, any of...
Where do you get that information from?
May I, Senator?
Sure.
If, in fact, they were not, they were screened and vetted while in flight, and if any derogatory information was adduced, they were placed in immigration enforcement proceedings.
What I want you to understand right now, and you can go back and rewind this, he's not answering to anything specific right now. He is not answering to anything specific as it pertains to the withdrawal of those coming from Afghanistan. He has broadened out the conversation so much through talks about policy and how and procedures go that he's not answering anything directly. But as we come to a close and Senator Graham brings it to make the question directly back to Afghanistan again, watch what his answer is.
And in removal,
now, you do know you're under oath. Are you telling this committee under oath that 99% of the people who got on these planes in Afghanistan were vetted by our government before they got on that plane?
I want to be very clear because precision...
Because you're not.
No. Senator, if I may, you are asking me about planes from transit countries, the third countries...
I'm talking about people who got on the plane in Kabul airport.
No, I can't speak to that.
Well, that's okay. Good.
Boom. I'm talking about the people who got on the planes from Kabul Airport, Kabul International Airport in Afghanistan. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, well, I can't speak to that. Just, excuse me. Oh, my God, I'm about to die. This man spent 3 minutes filibustering just to say, oh, well, I can't speak to that. I can't tell you if those guys from Afghanistan were vetted or not. I have no idea. After lying for 3 minutes straight, you can't hate America more than these DNC lunatic politics. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. So I want to thank you guys for joining me today, man. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms. And don't forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. That is extremely important that you follow me on Telegram. Until that, thank you all for watching. Peace and have a great afternoon.